Hello and welcome to the second part of this cloth modeling and texturing tutorial. I have already imported my meshes into Mudbox. I use the Maya importer to do this. So here I have my models. You can select the meshes and go to File. This works if you have the Creative Entertainment Suite, Entertainment Creation Suite. You can go to the Send to Mudbox and add to current scene or send as new scene, depends on whether you have a new scene or not. If this button does not appear, you will most probably have to export these items into a single OBJ file. So just select them, File, Export Selection. And then depends if you want materials have on or off. I usually turn everything off, export them as object, and then get this thing, import them into Mudbox manually by importing them. So once they are here, I also imported the model for reference. It's locked down in the object list. You see this little, it's grayed out now, so it's locked down. That means it's locked down. I've already hidden the other objects because I'm going to start to sculpt the top. So let's get started with that. I'll hit the W key to go into wireframe mode, and now hit Shift D to subdivide this mesh just a little. Let's say we want to go to level 4, 230,000 polys. This shall be enough. I'm going to use a Wacom Intuos 4 pressure sensitive tablet, and this is going to work way better than with a mouse, so I expect you to use one of those two, any sort of tablet. This is going to make work with sculpting way easier. So first thing I want to do, since this is already, you see here, let's increase the stretch on this by defining this area just a little. I'm using the standard sculpt tool now, and holding the shift key I can smooth this. You see, if I hold the shift, this control key, the control key inverts the function and the shift key smooths. So if you ever want to, with this tool, if you ever want to bulge something out, you just use the normal, and if you want to bulge something in, you hit the hold the control key, and you see this is pressed inward. So let's get some asymmetry into this. Asymmetry is good to having a natural look on your objects. So just moving from one side down, adding just some little wrinkles. Smoothing, and just like this. Also I want to have something here. Smooth out, smooth out. See this little point? This is because of having a triangle here. This looks sort of weird in Mudbox, but it won't make any change later on. Modeling and sculpting cloths, it's all about asymmetry. a piece of cloth is never symmetric in its deformations, so you wanna keep that in mind when sculpting. Never use this, or only if you need this very bad. Well, you see I got some interpenetration over here. Could use a lower resolution. I think this resolution is too high. This is not working very good with big deformations on the smooth tool. Let's turn on the belt, the upper belt. I'm gonna lock it down just to see where this mesh meets the belt and how I can what's happening here. I may need to buy a new tablet. This one is pretty old. It's having some strange bugs on this. I treated this not very well. Excuse me. What we also can use, let me show this to you. This is not perfection, I'm just showing the tools a little. I'm not the best sculpting artist. Yeah, where was this? Ah, yes, it's this one, steady stroke. If you notice that your lines are too scraggly, too weird, you can use steady stroke to get a more straight stroke. You see, like this. This works very good to having nice and smooth strokes. I think here I'm hitting the 3 key to go to the grab tool, and I'm gonna grab this part and move it out just a little. No, move it in a little. I don't like this part. Going to the grab tool. Oops. And minimizing this a little bit. This is way too far outside. The numbers on your keyboards are just the tools. So if I press the 1, I go into the sculpt tool, 2 is smooth, 3 grab, pinch, and so on and so forth. So this is a quick way of switching the tools, in case of you didn't know that. This is starting to look not very bad. Looks okay. I'm gonna decrease the steady stroke a little. Oh, I accidentally hit the V key. This turns on your face selection mode. Hmm. Feels like I don't know very well what I'm doing, but okay. I don't like this part. And I'm hungry. No, this can't be like that. Let's. Oh. Oh. Let's sharpen this. Mm-hmm. I'd like to put on some music with these tutorials because I don't talk very much, but YouTube's being. Yeah, I think you all know what I'm talking about. Saying that YouTube got a slave of the gamer. but that's not my cup of tea. No, wrong direction. Switch, mirroring. It's always you just sculpt something outside to the outside, and then like this. Smooth it out, and next to it, sculpt it in to sharpen the edge. This makes it look more natural. I have some strange oops. There are some nice stencils, stamps that we could use, like the get away, like this vector displacement stencil. I'm gonna show you quick how this works. If using stencils, oh gosh, get away, Skype. If using stencils, you need to increase the strength to about 40. This gets a nice undercut, which would be very hard to get without this vector displacement. So this also gets us a nice... This looks even good, very... I'm gonna keep on working with this. Looks nice. Okay, but it's not very much to do still. So... smooth, I want it. Stamp. Whoa. Okay. This is strange. I'm getting a sort of performance hit, but this is very implausible because my system's running on very low. Can't explain this. I'm thinking about buying a new screen recording software, although this worked very well. Maybe it's just Mudbox on Maya, everything went fine with this software. I don't know why Mudbox is doing so much trouble. I'm recording this now with 12 frames per second, but it still feels strange, even though I have 32 gigabytes of RAM and a i7 processor of the third generation, the 3930K with 12 threads. Okay. Let's call this done. Doesn't look too bad at all. Going to the layers. Let's see how this looks on subdivision level 1. Looks okay. I'm going to reduce this to the minimum. And I don't want to sculpt any cloth-like effects on the belt, so I'm going to switch now to the pant. Still leaving the belt on. I'm going to lock the top and show the pant. So there we go. Oh, now it's working again. Let's subdivide this to level 4. Oh, this is a little bit more than on the top. 370,000 polys. Okay. This is sort of like the same process that I did on the top, since I want the pants to be also like made of cloth. And this is why we wanted to consider this edge flow to get a nice deformation of this area when we sculpt. This is not good. This must be... no, let's reduce the strength a little bit more. Oops. I want to use the vector displacement here. And then grab this geometry and pull it forward so there is no penetration with the skin. No, like that. I wanted to change something here on the other tutorial, on the modeling part. I want to do this now. For that I'm gonna reduce the smooth level a bit. I want to make the pants a little bit more thinner on this part and even thicker on this other part. And again, just to prevent this thing looking weird and too unnatural, I'm not doing this in any mirror mode. maybe let's just make them just a little bit more similar. Yeah. Now let's adjust the shape on this side. Not that thick. Turn off stamp. And increase the subdivision level to get nicer. Let's get rid of this steady stroke. It's always good to have some reference when doing this. Unfortunately, I don't have any here, but you get the point on how this works. So I'm continuing this, and let's see how this ends. So I'm gonna pause the video here, and I'm gonna come back when the pants are finished with the detail sculpting. Okay, so I think I'm done with the pants as far as cloth-like sculpting is going. What we're gonna do now is apply some textures to this for it to don't look so boring. I get there are very good textures at cgtextures.com. That's where I get these textures from. I'm gonna use now. So how we do apply textures to this is we use the stencil tool in our paint tool settings. Let's do projection brush. And now here it's designed to work with the stencil. So we gonna click here on this little arrow, say add stencil, and I'm gonna add this fabric plane texture that I added to the folder. we click here, it appears. We can, holding the S key, we can manipulate this just as we manipulate the viewport itself. With the right key you scale this like we would zoom. With middle mouse button you pan this around like we would pan. And with the right that you rotate this like we rotate the viewport. Again, this is S, holding the S key. So let's go to the options down here and turn on use tiles. So this makes it the texture tiled. As you can see, my texture is not tileable, but this won't be much of a problem. I want to see how this looks if I apply it like a plain texture. For this I'm gonna do mesh and then flatten to UV space. And now it's gone down here. And as you can see, this, let's hide the mesh. This looks like our UV texture, but it is on a 2D space. So what now that's the problem, because I used the assign new material, Mudbox material, stop faking. Okay, now blends cannot have textures applied to it, but okay. Color. Let's make it a 4K texture. Let's make it OpenEXR 16-bit. And it's gonna go into the diffuse channel. Okay. So now we can start painting this. I'm using the mouse for this part. I find this a little bit easier. Oh. Let's edit the material and get rid of this weird specular color. Okay. Oops. Yeah, so let's get to mesh unflatten from UV space. Assign existing material. It doesn't look too bad, but there are some, we have some very strong seams and stretching here on the breast area. So let's repaint this. I'm gonna turn off tiles. And there's a nice other trick here on the fall off. We can turn on this fall off based on facing angle. And as soon as our face angle is more than 60 degrees, it'll stop projecting, stop working with the brush. So if we get too far to this side, we see the faces are pointing to the side and not towards the camera, it paints, but it does not paint all of this part, leaving us strange stretching, so that we can prevent stretching from happening. Like that. Okay, I'm gonna pause the video here again until I finish with this. Okay, Mudbox part. The rest I'm gonna do in Photoshop. But this is not going to be part of this tutorial since Photoshop is installed on another machine. Yeah, so I will get back into Maya when every texture is finished, for the most part, and then show you how to attach these cloths to an existing rig.